Let's call the meeting to order and stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Brennan.
Honorable Mayor Ron Shaver,
Here.
Councilmember Dan Marlar,
Here.
Christine Casto,
Here.
Allison Howe,
Here.
Clint Anderson,
Here.
Lisa Northrup,
Here.
Kevin Lindell.
Present.
Gotta be different.
First on our agenda tonight's a reading of the proclamation declaring October to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Proclamation reads, whereas domestic violence affects every person in Fort Morgan, Colorado, either as a victim, survivor, or domestic violence, or as a family member, significant other, friend, neighbor, or co-worker, and whereas recognition of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month exemplifies a commitment to serving domestic violence survivors by acknowledging, invigorating, and rededicating ourselves to the goal of eliminating domestic violence. And whereas SHARE Inc. is working to provide quality services and assistance to domestic violence survivors responding to emergency calls and criminal justice proceedings. And whereas domestic violence programs like SHARE Inc. and other professionals and advocates of nonviolence have joined together to support each other in their work and to provide our citizens with safety and services. And whereas during the month of October, SHARE Inc. will be intensifying efforts to promote public understanding of family violence and increase sensitivity to victims of family violence, emphasizing the need for citizens' involvement in an effort to reduce family violence through public education and changing public attitudes. Now, therefore, I, Ron Shaver, Mayor, City of Fort Morgan, Colorado, do hereby designate October 2017 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Fort Morgan and urge the appropriate recognition thereof. In witness hereof, I have hereunto set my hand to cause the seal of the City of Fort Morgan to be affixed this, the third day of October 2017. And here to accept this is Alicia and Jody from SHARE. Thank you. Thank you very much for all you do. We appreciate it. You're welcome. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation and action on bids for the demolition and removal of a building at 120.5 West Street. Mr. Glanmeyer.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening. What you have in your packet before you tonight is a request to accept a bid and enter into contract with Nestor Excavating for the removal and disposal of a structure located at 120.5 West Street. I will point out an error in the memo that I wrote. We did refine the bid amount from Nestor, and they did include some additional cost in case they get into the building and find debris or a basement or these types of things, and also refine the asbestos abatement amount. And so the total that you will have before you tonight and is also in the agreement is correct. So it's $9,700. So we're asking for a not to exceed approval of $9,700. You all probably know staff has been working for some time to have this dangerous structure abated. Well over a year. I came into this project and was dropped on my desk and said, we really need to wrap this up. So we made numerous attempts to contact the owners and say, you've got an attractive nuisance here and really something needs to be done. The building is inhabitable at this point and dangerous. We had no luck in getting the owner to do anything. So unfortunately at this point we've got no choice. We need to hire a contractor to have it taken care of. We'll try to collect those monies through a lien on the property. Hopefully, we're successful with that, but I think at this point, we don't want to delay any longer. It's getting to be winter, and I'm afraid somebody's going to get into this place and really get harmed if we don't take care of this as soon as we can. So we have this before you tonight. We really struggled to find a contractor that would take care of this problem for us. We tried and tried and tried to get more than one bid, and nobody wanted to tackle it except for Mr. Nestor. So we're recommending that you would enter into contract with him for an amount not to exceed $9,700. Jason put the agreement together, so we're solid there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Your Honor, I might also add, and thank you, Steve, for presenting to council tonight. This has been a priority for council for us to identify properties that are dilapidated, that are bringing down values in the community, messy yards. We've worked very hard with owners. Obviously, the focus is compliance. We want them to be compliant with our code, and we work with them. And as Steve pointed out, for last year, we've been trying to contact this absentee landowner to try and figure out what we can do to fix it. Our building inspector has been over there on various occasions, and I think the most recent time refused to actually go into the building because of some of the exterior views that demonstrated some real lack of integrity within the building. So we want to, and I appreciate Steve picking this up and running with it and getting it done. This is just one of the issues that we're addressing as a direction from council to make sure that we are trying to keep our community clean and safe.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Glanmeyer?
Do we know, we haven't been able to get a hold of this guy. Has he been paying taxes on the property, do we know? Has he had any contact with Morgan County?
Taxes get paid, as far as I understand, when I looked at this several months ago. But per the code, we have specific notice requirements that we're required to take. We've followed the code as required, and ultimately what this will happen is this will be a special assessment on the property, and it'll be collected as a part of the property taxes.
Okay, thank you.
I've seen the party or the property, and it definitely needs to be addressed. I would entertain a resolution.
Your Honor, I would offer a resolution accepting the bid from Nestor Excavating for demolition of a structure located at 120.5 West Street in an amount not to exceed $9,700, and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement prepared by the city attorney.
Second. Sorry.
A resolution by Lisa Northrup and a second by Christine Costeau. Vote by roll call.
That resolution carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Super interesting.
Next, we have presentation on possible action supporting an application for a marijuana impact grant from Colorado Department of Local Affairs. Chief Schultz.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. The Department of Local Affairs has a grant opportunity entitled Marijuana Impact Grant Program. They're offering total grant funding of $1 million to any local government that wants to apply and is accepted, that can identify situations where they're impacted in a negative way by nearby communities that are selling legal marijuana. We think we fall into that situation and would like to apply for this grant specifically to educate youth in the community about the dangers of using marijuana, and would ask for your support.
It's a $1 million grant, or there's $1 million in grants?
$1 million in grants. Our grant would be estimated somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000. There's no matching dollars needed. That's $1 million available statewide.
So is that basically used for public education, or are there other avenues that they can be used for?
It's wide open. It could be used for enforcement. It could be used for public education. It's any type of impact that the community is experiencing. Our plan is to use it for public education in the schools.
Chief, are you planning on collaborating with any groups like the Public Health Department?
Yes, absolutely. specifically the school district for sure, and public health would be part of that.
I think it'd be very beneficial to get in the schools and educate some of our youth about marijuana.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for the chief? There are none. I'd entertain a resolution.
Your Honor, I offer a resolution supporting an application for marijuana impact grant from the Colorado Department of Local Affairs.
I have a resolution by Allison Howe, a second by Lisa Northrup. Vote by roll call.
That resolution carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next, we have discussion and possible action by motion on the mayor's day off on the day after Thanksgiving, and I'll take it.
Okay. Everyone-
Can we have it up too?
Oh, sure.
We have to come to work.
Rest of council can have it too.
I make a motion, we do that, no?
Okay, all in favor?
Well, we're happy to let the council have that day off after Thanksgiving. I think it's a great idea. Just to give a little bit of background on this, you know, several years ago, we did a survey, if you will, of the state and the benefits package that's offered to employees at the city of Fort Morgan. One area where we actually were below pretty much everybody in the state was number of holidays that were provided. And we looked at that, and it had constantly been, I think it's been a tradition for at least a decade, maybe longer, to have the mayor's day off for the employees the day after Thanksgiving. Operationally, it makes a lot of sense because most people want to take that day off anyway, so you don't have the staff here and we don't get a lot of customers. So this basically puts us on par with all of the other employers around the state, and it's great for the council to have that day off.
Well said.
And I do know that the staff really does appreciate it. They comment to me regularly every year after council has approved this that they really appreciate having that day off.
I'll give you a little farther back history. You used to split it up where you would divide your departments and take, half would get that day after Thanksgiving and the others would get the day before or the day after Christmas. And it was always, if Christmas didn't fall on next to a weekend, you didn't get a lot of people real happy with it. So, I mean, this is something that, like you said, Black Friday is
It's a big deal.
something, so.
People need to shop.
So are you going to notify notify everybody's employers or offices that we're not going to be in on that Friday?
I will.
Okay, I just
say-
want to make sure that we had the responsibility delegated.
We'll make sure we do that. An official notice will go out from the city manager's office that the council has taken official action authorizing the mayor and council to have the day after Thanksgiving off. I'm making a note of that right now.
Appreciate that.
You'll give it to Donna.
Yeah.
That's who's getting it.
Well, I'll let you know how that works for me.
Really stretching this meeting out.
I would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I would offer a motion for the mayor's day off on the day after Thanksgiving.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was a tad premature.
No, well, yeah, I knew Kevin was there, so. All opposed? Carry on.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate it. And I will get those letters out here shortly
Sorry.
for your employers so that you can let them know you have a day off.
And we can encourage all the city staff to go spend money the day after Thanksgiving
That's right.
in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
That's our
Kevin,
hope.
for the second. Next, we have the consent agenda by resolution. Mr. Brennan.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tonight's consent agenda includes item A, second reading and final approval of ordinance number 1194, annexing the Fort Morgan Farms 4 property to the city of Fort Morgan and authorization to publish by title only. Item B, second reading and final approval of ordinance number 1195, establishing zoning for the Fort Morgan Farms 4 property and authorization to publish by title only. And item C, approval of the minutes of the September 19th, 2017 City Council regular meeting. All matters on the consent agenda are considered routine business by the council and will be enacted with a single motion and a single vote by roll call. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is deemed necessary, that item should be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately.
I would entertain a resolution accepting it as presented.
Your Honor, I would offer a resolution accepting the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I have a resolution by Christine Costello, a second by Allison Howe. A vote by roll call.
That resolution carries unanimously.
Public comments, audience participation, or any things that are not on the agenda?
We always get excited hoping somebody.
Seeing none, reports by officials and staff.
Got a lot going on in the city right now. We have streets projects that are finishing up, which is a good thing. I know that there is a lot of work going on in the parks with the new skate park. If you get a chance to go over by Brenda Joy and look at how it's coming along, it's going to be really cool when it's done. It's definitely going to be an upgrade and much safer than our current skate park. And we're still working with the contractor to get the pickleball courts done. I know that some people just really love pickleball, and we're working as hard as we can to get it done. So Susan, just hang in there. We'll have the pickleball courts done as soon as we can. Other than that, do any of the directors have anything? All right. Any questions from council or things that have come up?
Well, I would say during class reunion, I was talking to a couple different people who had just played pickleball for their first time and were very excited about it and enthused. So there's more converts in the city, within the city.
Well, we'll hopefully have a place for them to worship. I mean, play. Sorry. All right.
Brent, Chief, Steve, Chiefs? None? Anybody on council?
Really trying to stretch this meeting out tonight, huh?
I am. I've got 20-minute odds, so.
Okay, all right.
It's got the over-under on it.
Bids, meetings, and announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. There are no bids currently out under meetings. The Planning Commission is scheduled to meet October 9th at 4:30 PM here at City Hall. On the October 16th at 4:30 PM, the Library Advisory Board meets in the Museum Community Room. And the next City Council regular meeting will be October 17th at 6 PM here. Just one quick announcement of a high-interest event at the Library Museum coming up, the International Candy Sampling Event. I think I just put this news release out today, and it has, it may be sold out. You have to sign up soon. They have limited to 40 participants, free samples of candies from around the world, and what could be better?
I think we might have to have an encore performance.
You know, when I started reading that, I thought it was for kids. But you got to be 18 years old, so I'm kind of wondering what's in the candy.
Bog Lane has a very special entry.
And that's why the chief needs a grant.
Anything else to come before the council? Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.
God,